guys, welcome, and today we are going to be reacting to some videos that my followers have sent me from TikTok. They're either on TikTok or on YouTube, so let's get into it. First off, immediately this dog is pushing a cart in a non-pet friendly store, and you can tell by what they sell that they're non-pet friendly. And the fact that you'll see in a few seconds that this ad, video, whatever, is condoning what they're doing when it's actually against federal law here in the States. You can see here this is an FDA violation. The dog should not be touching the cart. Food goes in the cart. Also, this is not a task. Them being able to push stuff, yes, that can be a task. But them pushing the cart like this is not a task. This is a trick.
Grocery cart. Looks like he even knows how to shop for himself and check out at the cash register. It's one of many cool tricks this German Shepherd, appropriately named Cash, can do.
Sit down.
Oh, they're on public transportation. Now, majority of buses and stuff like this are not pet friendly. They're sitting in the seat. Service dogs are supposed to be on the floor, so all animals should have to follow that rule if they are on public transportation. He should not be in that seat.
Look, he even has his own.
Now this is an agility thing. I get it. I see dogs do it all the time. The foot there, though, that concerns me. Hopefully, as any good pet owner would do, you inspect your dog's foot after that and make sure that they don't have or have sustained any injury during this.
Own balancing act.
Pet the dog. Everybody gets to pet the dog. Get up.
And apparently is a tightrope, fence walker.
This is
Cash's owner
fine.
runs a service dog training company.
Of course he does. So he should know the law.
So Cash is learning lots of tricks. But the 6-year-old is more than just an attention-grabbing show dog. Cash was rescued. He was supposed to be euthanized after a shelter deemed him aggressive and untrainable. But now look at him.
I hate when shelters say that. Due to my past working in a shelter, I know that they will claim that if the dog is too much work. Yes, some dogs are untrainable and unsavable, but majority of them are savable and trainable. You just have to work with the dog the way that works for the dog. And a lot of people don't like putting in the time that it takes to get there. But as a service dog trainer, you should know that this isn't okay.
When it comes to good dogs, Cash is king. For InsideEdition.com.
That's aggravating. And Inside, of course, being problematic as they are, post about this. Like, it's fine if he would have done that like a Tractor Supply or like a pet store or a Joann's Fabrics or like a Michael's or a Ross or a, let's see, I believe Ross is pet friendly from what I've seen. I could be wrong. But I know like Hobby Lobby is pet friendly. You could have done it in any of these places. Why choose a place that's not pet friendly when it stated you're a service dog trainer, not that you're a service dog handler? If you're a service dog handler, you should still know that that's not okay. But having your dog in a non-pet friendly place makes sense then. On to the next, I guess. This is just multiple clips compiled into one. So let's jump into it. they showing? Like, okay, I could see it, like, the dog wasn't paying attention, the dog was checking his surroundings, but that is a task where PTSD dogs do. But that dog just seemed to be excited to see people instead of excited because it's on a mission. Like, the dogs that you see doing the task of a block or a watch my back, it's a focused stare, look. Like, they're actively looking and against their owner most of the time, or like you can tell that they're trying to make sure no one approaches the person from behind. But like, I don't really see much wrong there, so let's see if it gets worse so they show us something. There's no barking. Like, that could have been a service dog in training. You never know. Oh god, what is this? Okay, that's Winnie. I think that's Winnie. What is this, Home Depot? Alright, so that looked like a Home Depot. Home Depot is pet friendly in a good amount of places. I always recommend calling ahead. So I see no problem there with it possibly being a pet friendly store. And it didn't try to interact with your dog. They tried to swiftly move by you. Like, the only other etiquette thing I would recommend is the person put the dog on the other side of them if they see a service dog in a pet friendly place. Just so there's a buffer in case anything happens. Like, if I'm in a pet friendly place and I know there could be a dog, or I see a dog, I stand on the side of my service dog that is closest to that dog, so that I'm a buffer. But most Home Depots are pet friendly, so I don't see the problem. Oh Lord. Target. Let's talk about it. So Target yes, the mascot of Target may be a dog, but Target is not pet friendly. No Target is pet friendly in the United States. It is corporate policy. Even if they let you in without asking questions, you're still breaking a federal law and endangering other people's lives. I don't see the risk that y'all are like, yeah, I'll take the risk. I don't understand it because, like, you could do jail time. You could have to pay a fine. You could have your animal taken away. You could endanger other people's lives because these dogs aren't trained for all the situations that could happen in a non-pet friendly store. Like, something could set them off. You never know. Because they're not trained for everything that happens in non-pet friendly stores. They're not there to do a job. So that one's 100% warranted. That one, don't take your dogs to Target. It's not worth the risk. You could run into a team, your dog could get set off suddenly and just be dog aggressive and go and attack that dog or bite a child. We've seen many times where fake service dogs got caught because they went and bit a child being, like, shown off as a service dog with a vest and everything. Now remember, guys, when it does come to vesting your dog, by law, no, you do not have to vest your dog. You don't have to label your dog. But if you have an ID or a registration certificate thing that you bought online, or your doctor told you you could take your ES everywhere, no, you can't. That is against the law. These IDs and registrations are scams and do not hold up in the court of law. So if anything was to ever happen and you show that, you would then get in trouble for using that, and it would never hold up as evidence in the court of law. You are not protected by the ADA with those. Alright. Let's move on. Alright. Watching the owner's back. What are we looking at?
There's a fake service dog here.
Oh, is there? Where?
Oh, that's true.
Okay. First problem. Are you approaching where that dog is? Or are you, okay, you're moving away. To any team that does this, if you're in a place and you know there's a fake service dog, do not move closer to it. Do not run up to them with your dog. You're partaking in that toxic part of this community, and you're endangering not only yourself, but your medical equipment at that point. I get turning on your camera and filming. I do it when I go shopping. I just put it on record and I put it in the cart. In case anything happens, there's an audio footage, or possibly it could catch something. Because this could go, you're creating the drama. You're putting yourself in that risk. You could have gone up the other way and gone to the counter and reported them. Because this is dangerous. This is also the toxic part of the community that does fake spotting and stuff like that, and it's not what you should be doing.
Okay,
Let's see what happens now. The dog is now starting to whine and is fixated on the other dog. I would have left and reported it.
Sit. Sit, Winnie. Good job.
At this part, the dog starts barking and howling. I do like that the person that this person is with when doing this, they at least have a person with them that is sitting in that position in ready to go mode in case something starts to go down. They can run right into it. But at this point, with the dog barking and growling, that is at that level where it is a disruption to the business, and they can be thrown out by the business.
Leave it.
Dude, I'm literally heart speeding so fast. Heart speeding so fast.
Especially if you have like cardiac things or you have anxiety, I really don't recommend doing this on top of everything else that I've already stated, because then you're putting yourself into a situation where your health could decline very quickly. And it was preventable.
So how do you feel, Maddie? Swag, yes. As you should.
Also, again, like in cafes and stuff like this, your dog should be tucked under. If it is a service dog where they're allowed to be there, they should be tucked under the table. Because this, again, FDA regulations.
Oh.
I guess we're moving on to the next one.
Oh, what? Her name's Winnie. Her name's Winnie. Winnie? Yeah, like Winnie the Pooh. You wanna go?
Okay, so we're in a public area, which means it's dog friendly. It's a parking lot. You should expect when you're in places like this to see dogs. Yes, the dog was reactive, as in the way of it was hyper-focusing and barking. And they didn't have proper etiquette of putting the dog on the other side of them, and they could have gone farther and walked around from them. But things happen. So I don't know why this is called a fake service dog compilation when this is pet friendly.
Let me go grab my phone.
So we're walking up to the dog now.
Did you ask to pet the dog? Yeah, I just asked. Yeah. You can pet it too. Yeah. Just make sure you always ask before you pet someone's dog, because
But yeah, always ask to pet someone's dog, even if it's not a service dog, because you don't know if that dog is reactive. You don't know if that dog is aggressive. You never know. It's just like how I say never run up on a dog, even a service dog, because it messes with me mentally if I hear someone running up behind me. I think it would anyone.
You don't know what could happen.
Ooh, you put beads on your laces? I like that. That's cute. Thank you. And I like your phone case too.
I wouldn't have walked up to it to put myself in that situation where something could have happened.
I didn't bring my beaded shoes.
Good job, Winnie.
Again, you could completely avoid the situation. The situation could have been avoided. Now, was that a non-pet friendly event that you went to? Or was it we're going to be outside so people think they can bring their dogs? Unless someone's claiming for it to be a service dog, I wouldn't call it a fake service dog. I would say someone brought a pet into a non-pet friendly place. Okay, that's someone with a dog with a vest on that's going potty. You don't know. Like, there was no indicator it's a fake or anything like that. Again, it's also outside. I get we need to stop vesting dogs with service dog on it if it's not a service dog. But, like, what? You don't know if that's a fake. You drove by it while I was on a potty break.
You guys do realize Walmart's not pet friendly, right?
Huh?
You guys do realize Walmart's not pet friendly, right?
See, this, like, what are you gonna do? You're going that way. They're coming at you. And, like, you don't want to cut in front of them because you don't want the dog to run at you. The dog is pulling. Not pet friendly place. It's Walmart. No Walmart in the United States, at least. None of them are pet friendly. You're also not allowed to have them on a cart. In a cart. Or touching a cart like that. Like the first dog.
I know that.
I know that. Also, you can't see what Winnie's doing. I'm assuming she's stepped in front. She, her, they, them. I don't know how they identify. Most likely stepped in front of Winnie just to make sure that the dog couldn't reach.
Then why is the dog in the store?
Huh? Why should the dog in the store?
She's an actual task trained service dog.
So am I. I'm training her.
So, she's handling this very well. She's very condoned, and she's being very legitimate and upfront. The dog, if you're training your service dog, like if you're going through a trainer or you're training it yourself, your dog should know how to walk on a leash properly and not be reactive to dogs before you take it out into public. That's why I recommend like Joann's, Hobby Lobby, and stuff like that, because it's pet friendly, but it's still like that environment of a store where if something was to happen, it wouldn't be the end of the world because it's a pet friendly store. Like if it accidentally has an accident or something like that. And you can learn what the dog needs to be, what like aspects and pinpoints you need to assess or and address before taking them into non-pet friendly places. They also already need to at least have one task learned. And when I say that, a lot of people automatically assume that deep tissue pressure is enough. No. Alone, deep tissue pressure is not enough of a task because they have to have the alert before something happens, before they do that. So it's just something to be mindful of. Your dog going into public access, if you're starting public access in non-pet friendly places, your dog should not act like this.
That dog is aggressive.
That dog is not aggressive. She is very, very people friendly.
I wouldn't have said aggressive because I'm not seeing any growling. I'm seeing dog reactive in a way of it wants to come to your dog, it wants to play, which it should know if it's working and it's in training, it should already know not to do that when it's working. I like to teach dogs on and off switches, whether it be a piece of gear, a piece of code word, anything like that. Whether you change its collar before it leaves the house or you use a different leash so it knows something means something else. Dogs are very smart.
Only thing she barks at is moving carts.
You admit your dog barks at moving carts. Why are you doing public access in a place, in a non-pet friendly place to be specific, in a place with moving carts? You can go into the parking lot and have your dog with you and move the cart to get that reactivity, get them used to the noise, get them used to the movement, so that they don't have that reactivity to a cart.
Okay.
So very not aggressive.
Well, please make sure your dog is trained before putting disabled people's lives
He's
at
only
risk.
4 months old.
Well,
Your dog should not be starting non-pet friendly public access at 4 months old. I wouldn't even take my 4-month-old dog into PetSmart. Like at that point, maybe they have a task under their belt if you had them for a little bit. But they're not ready for stuff like this. At all. Also, not only bringing a pet, anything but a service dog, into a non-pet friendly place, not only are you putting disabled people's lives at risk, you're putting everybody else's life in that store at risk, because you never know what a dog is capable of when it's not trained for any situation that could be thrown at it in that store.
it should not be in the store.
See, her dog saw the dog and just went, okay, there's a dog in here, but whatever. Very well trained. Very good at her job. Alright, we're walking. But yeah, she handled that very well. She, he, they, them, whatever they identify as, handled that very well. Service dog did amazing, handled it very well. There's just a few key points to add to your ammunition if you want them. Alright. Oh Lord, what is this?
She did great.
Go potty.
I can't even tell what that is. Is this a hotel?
Wow. Just wow.
But where are you?
And this is why we don't fake service dogs. Oh, yes.
Why are you guys so freaking over?
Thank you. Okay.
There's a lot of context missing in that because you don't know if it's an apartment unit or anything like that. But at the beginning, it seemed very respectful because she was making sure her dog was away from yours. If I had the barking dog, I would have removed myself from the situation. But it was very controlled. If I had more context, if that was a non-pet friendly hotel or something like that, that would make sense. A lot of hotels right now are really cracking down. I've I know Holiday Inns, I get asked the 2 questions. I know Quality Inns, I get asked the 2 questions. But some Quality Inns are still pet friendly or ESA friendly. I know a Holiday Inn I stayed at doesn't allow ESAs because so many people faked ESAs to where their furniture and stuff was getting destroyed. So they only let service dogs stay there. And this is why faking emotional support animals and service dogs is so harmful to the community, because it's not only like, oh, I'm doing it so everyone else should do it, it's affecting other people's lives. And it needs to be taken into consideration that that's what's happening. Okay, we're walking on a street.
Yeah.
The dog started pulling towards them. They corrected it, went on with their time. Winnie did excellent. Didn't pay much mind to it.
A husky.
You're out in a shopping area. They're not inside. I don't see the problem of that either being a fake service dog. I see it being a pet. But I could be missing some kind of context.
Oh, it just peed on something.
I mean, you're outside. That's gonna happen. That dog has a vest on. That dog is dog reactive. That dog needs to get out of there, because that dog's obviously going into stores. It's being carried. That is able-bodied people abusing a law there for disabled people. That's showing able-bodied privilege. It's not a luxury or a glorious thing to have a service dog. Most handlers I know, if they could go without relying on a dog, they would.
Wow. Wow.
What's happening?
Hello.
Smart idea. Oh. Okay. Anyways, before we jump into that, so it looks like we've seen this building a few times. Maybe it's an apartment building, and they lied about having a service dog to have their dog live there. By the way, guys, do not do that. That affects actual service dog handlers, because if they have a service dog that gives a bad impression, even if it's a fake service dog, it then makes it that much harder for disabled people like myself to get an apartment like that, because they've had a bad experience and they're lenient to say yes to letting us live there. But she was very smart. She picked her dog up because there was no way of avoiding that situation and walked by quickly. Very smart, very good tactic. No dogs on the beach.
You know pets aren't allowed at the beach, right? Yeah. She's not a pet, she's a medical alert dog.
See, at this point, so most beaches, most people don't know, during busy season, like summer and spring and stuff like that, the beach is no longer like you can have your dogs there. You can have your dogs there at certain times through the day, or you just can't have any kind of pet there at all. You can have your service dog, but that's it. So in situations like this, if I feel it would escalate, call like the lifeguard, call the police.
That's a medical alert dog? Did you know that? You didn't know that, right? That dog is hacking up a storm.
So if your dog is hacking and stuff like that, if your dog has any kind of medical thing going on with it, you shouldn't work it. I know there are deaf service dogs, like the dog itself is deaf, but still has that drive and motivation to work. And by ADA laws, that is allowed. hacking and stuff like that, if your dog is sick or anything like that, you should not be working it. And dog reactivity kicks in.
Service dogs don't act like that.
Certified, I have a card. That's a scam. Will not hold up in court. Gives you no rights. It's just a piece of paper you wasted like $200 on.
No, those don't exist. Those are illegal. Those are illegal. Bye. Those are illegal. What about your dog? Those are illegal.
I used to say those are illegal. Now I say those are scams because that catches more people's attention, especially with all of the scam calling going on or the telemarketer calling. Saying the word scam seems to catch more people's attention. They go, wait, what? Or they continue to be defensive like this lady, but I think that lady was leaving, luckily.
Have fun with that.
Fair. We're in an airport. Maybe. Or some kind of shopping center. Oh, we're in a restaurant. Never mind. Oh, no. Don't tell me they go in there.
What do you need, like,
Okay, I'm coming to that.
What?
I
got some hand sanitizer too.
Don't tell me they're going in that restaurant.
The steak is superb.
So far I'm not seeing the issue. I don't know if anyone else is, but I'm not.
Beans.
Beans? No.
No, no beans.
No beans.
Okay, man. Mira.
They're sitting outside, so I don't see the problem. As long as they're not taking their dog into the non-pet friendly places. Unless that like whole area of the outside area is non-pet friendly. But if your dog is that reactive where it's walking like that on a leash, you should not take it in public until it at least knows how to walk on a leash properly. Because it having that much stress is not okay. Okay, we're... Again, not enough context. Alright, so that one all depends on what airline you're flying with. So some airlines only allow service dogs. Some airlines allow ESAs if they are in a carrier. But they're trying to ban ESAs from flying because of incidents they've run into. Because of people abusing these laws. But overall, the animal was in a carrier. Unless that place is not pet friendly, I don't get it. I'm missing context. Alright, this looks like a hospital. What is happening? The dog is off leash, not keeping pace, so it's falling behind. If it's a service dog, it cannot task from behind you like that unless it is watching your back or walking around you. Your dog cannot task if it can't pick up on the scent or it can't see the motions and stuff like like scratching or shaking your leg or picking and stuff like that. They just keep walking away from the dog that's off leash. The dog is not vested, the dog is in a shirt. This is just a bad owner at this point. Like, why are you leaving your dog in a driving area off leash when it obviously isn't trained? It's trained to not run off, but it's not trained to make sure it's with you at all times. What store is this? A gas station. Gas stations, believe it or not, are not pet friendly. They do not allow pets, ESAs, and stuff like that because it's not pet friendly. Only animals in there are service animals. So if they're going into there, that not only makes it a bad owner for what they were doing before, it makes them breaking the law. Alright, and that's it for that video. So let's move into the next one. This is a well-known viral video that I really want to talk on. So yes, this is a Home Depot. A lot of Home Depots are pet friendly, but that's not what I want to touch in this. Someone fell to the ground. That bully was going after the small dog. Someone's screaming like something very dramatic, scream crying. I don't understand the dramatics of that, of why you fell to the ground instead of trying to break the dogs up. So this lady's continuing to be mad. So this lady is, so you have two pets in a pet-friendly place, and they went at it. The small dog's not on a leash. The big dog is. You should never take a dog somewhere that's pet-friendly even if it is dog reactive. Unless you are in control of the situation and can make sure that this isn't going to happen. A non-pet friendly dog should not be in a situation like this for this to even occur. Because this is just putting people's lives at risk. Someone could have gotten bit. You also shouldn't take a dog somewhere that's pet friendly or not. If another dog's going to be there and you're not prepared to possibly have to break up a fight. If a dog has the ability of doing this. Like, if you're taking your dog somewhere and you know your dog, there might be a possibility of this happening, don't take it there. And if you do see dogs fighting like that, assess the situation, act quickly, help if you can. If it's under control, great. But that didn't need to escalate to that. That owner should have had eyes on its dog, and if started seeing it pull, walk the other way. It's being a good owner. That was preventable.
Oh my God! Please, put that in my purse. Oh my God almighty! Please, fuck!
At this point, I would have gotten an employee to go get the other owner's name, number, and stuff like that, in case medical bills were something that was going to be needed. But in this case, I don't think she would have a leg to stand on if it went to court, because her dog was unleashed and isn't a task-trained service animal. Like, you can have your dogs off leash in a store if it is a task-trained service animal that has to be off leash to perform its job. Otherwise, it should be on a leash.
You need to hurry up. Like 911. Come on.
Someone's already, why are you walking back in? The dog is fine. Why are you still being hysterical? Like, I get being worked up after a dog fight. I've been worked up after a dog fight, but not to that level. And it was, the dog fights I've seen get pretty intense. Because I've worked in someone else's household to train their dogs, and their dogs got into it pretty bad. We weren't expecting it, just out of nowhere. Got into it pretty bad and locked onto each other. To where this method did not work. We had to literally hold them and pull back anytime they would release to separate those dogs. And that drew blood. Just blood. Didn't do any other damage. And no one in the situation acted like that. This was preventable. So you're walking back towards the dog that attacked your dog, screaming and crying hysterically. Someone's already called the authorities, or have the authorities being called. They keep walking towards the dog, and other people are worried about the situation and warning them, and they're not listening. Don't own a dog if you can't take care of it and you're not willing to have the common sense of not putting them back into danger after they've been in danger, like that. Even in your arms, that dog could jump and bite you. Or your dog. And last but not least, we're gonna go into the infamous anger that made my soul so mad in 2016.
A customer freaks out after she sees a dog in the restaurant where she is eating dinner.
It's disgusting to have an animal inside of a public restaurant.
That statement's not incorrect. It's disgusting to have an animal in a public restaurant. It is not disgusting to have a service dog in a public restaurant because they are held to a standard of grooming that goes alongside with FDA, so that their hair isn't flying everywhere. They know not to be smelling the table, licking the table, being in the seat, stuff like that.
But that's not any dog. You can see the Great Dane is wearing a vest that reads PTSD service dog. The Great Dane's master is a military veteran.
He's alive because he fought for our country. Congratulations! My husband, Dad, fought for the...
Oh. Lady, she was telling you that so that you could put together in your head why he has a service dog. Not for the kudos. Not for the pats on the back. Because that's what made him have to have the service dog. You should, if you're ever going to approach a disabled person with a service dog, and yes, I say that because you have to be disabled to have a service dog. You never handle a situation like this because you don't know what their medical is and how you're going to react is going to respond with them. You don't know the reason they have the dog.
Nasty to me!
Just because it's nasty to you doesn't mean that you have the right to act this way or get them thrown out because you find it nasty, when if it was against policy for a service dog to be there, they would not have been allowed in.
The customer walks out, but returns and the argument.
You walked away. You went to dismiss and dissolve what was going on. Why come back?
Continues.
It's my opinion, and it's not going to change. You ain't
It's your opinion. Very much correct. Have your opinion. Your opinion does not trump federal law.
gonna change it. You. None of y'all gonna change it. I think it's gross.
If you think it's gross, go to a different restaurant. Wait until they're done and leave. You didn't need to do all of this.
My first reaction was making sure nobody got hurt.
Very good. And that should have been what everyone else was worried about too. Because, especially PTSD, you never know what triggers it. You could send somebody back and they could get hurt. Like, themselves. Like, you never know.
Spoke to the vet in the video, retired Master Sergeant Bill Austin, who served in Iraq and Afghanistan. He was at the Delaware Seafood Restaurant with his wife, Janet, and friends, and his service dog, JP.
Were you shocked by her reaction?
Yes.
Yeah, we've never been screamed at like that. I mean, we've had people ask us questions or, comments about the dog because
We get that all the time as service dog handlers.
he's so big, but we've never had anybody get in our face and just scream at us.
The angry customer, identified as Ciara Miller, told a local newspaper the video does not tell the whole story.
I think it tells the whole story. I think it does.
She says she got upset because the dog's backside got way too close to her. She
The backside got too close to you.
also says she was subjected to racial slurs.
Then why aren't you screaming at them for the racial slurs? Why are you only going off about the dog being nasty? Also, the dog looks to be in standard, looks very clean, looks well groomed, looks well taken care of.
I'm leaving because the food is nasty and there's a dog.
Now she says that she heard racial slurs. What do you say?
Nobody said anything racial in nature. We had a mixed race party in there.
It's disgusting to have an animal inside of a public.
Again, she's only attacking the service dog, not the racial slurs. Anyone I know who has racial slurs thrown at them would address that first.
Restaurant.
People think that it's okay because their opinion, that's law. That's not true. And I've had many people, I can count on one hand, it's like 3 people, react to me and Appa the way that that lady reacted to him and his service dog. And let me tell you, those situations are terrifying. And if it was a fake service dog, it would have reacted in some way. And all of this, that is harassment. And that is against the law. They were not trying to, they were trying to de-escalate the situation. They were not trying to escalate the situation. Because you never know what anyone's capable of. Especially when they're acting that way. That's nuts. But that wraps it up for this video. So if you guys want to learn more about the Americans with Disabilities Act, please check out ada.gov. And if you guys want to see more videos like this, please go ahead and send them to me, tag me in them, anything like that, so that I can react to them and you guys can see me dissect the situation. Other than that, please make sure to follow me here on Twitch at abellsboy, TikTok at abellsboy, and YouTube at abellsboy to see more of my content when I am not live. I hope you guys have a great day, and that is all.